Right? Can you see me, everybody? No. Right? Guys, can you see me? Yes. So we'll be studying, or we'll be starting with nothing but top MCQs, not on this one. Sorry, this is not the one that we're going to take up. Right. So guys, we'll be studying. Yes, everybody, those who are online, just give me a hi right now. Fine. So what is our topic for today? It is nothing but RRB, NTPC, SSC, CGL related topic. That is nothing but our Indian polity, and we will be discussing some of the important questions as well as the concepts regarding Indian polity. That is the basics of constitution. What is that we are going to cover? We will be studying about constitution. So guys, those who are watching my classes for the very first time, my name is Unnikrishnan. I am one of the top verified educator in Unacademy who is handling classes on both offline as well as free courses. And I have a YouTube channel as well as Telegram channel also, both on the name of Ultimate Classroom. And most importantly, I am having around 6 years of teaching experience, and in this 6 years I have cleared so many government oriented examinations like RRB, SSC, PSC as well as ESIC exams. So in this class, my class will be in English. So we will be discussing some of the basics of Indian polity, that is Indian Constitution. And this is my profile. If you haven't visited my profile yet, you can follow me here, and on the downwards you can find my courses, all my courses, and you can go through the courses. And if you felt my course is good, please rate and review the classes. And most importantly, you can see a scroll bar coming up over here in this part, and all. This will be my referral code Ukrishnan54 UKRISHNAN54. You can use this referral code to take up Unacademy Plus on any categories, and if you want any further discount details and offers, you can definitely contact me. So guys, let's start the class. So if somebody asks you, what is constitution? What is constitution? What will be your answer? Your answer should be nothing but a constitution is the basic or fundamental law of a state. Very important, basic or fundamental law of a state. And this basic or fundamental law is called as constitution. Suppose, obviously you guys are preparing for, yes Jagan Malik, yes hi. Obviously you guys are preparing for what? RRB and NTPC. And in each and everything there are some basic laws and regulations, right? Some of the basic laws that you have taken up from your childhood is that once you go to your school, you should be wearing your uniform. Once you enter into an exam hall, you should keep your mobiles and other electronic gadgets outside. So these are some of the basic laws that governs you. Just like that, in order to maintain the democracy and the welfare of the people, there was a basic law, democracy and welfare of the people. There was a basic law, or we call it as fundamental law of the country or state, and that is called nothing but constitution. So I have a question to you. If you know, please provide the answer. From where we got the word constitution? From where we got the word constitution? Constitution word was derived from a Latin word. Very important. Constitution word was derived from a Latin word which is called as what? Anybody online? Constitution from a Latin word which is called as, and its English meaning, if you want I can provide it. It is nothing but to establish. And this constitution was from a Latin word which is called as constituere. Constituere. It is a Latin word which means to establish. Very, very important. Constitution means a Latin word constituere. Constituere, which is meaning to establish. Right. So most importantly, right. So what we can say about constitution? It is the basic law which determines the structure of the state, defines the power of government and the rights and duties of the people. So this is what we can say about constitution in basic. So it is a basic law which determines the structure of the state, defines the power of government as well as right and duties of the people. So right answer, or we can define constitution as basic law. Anybody having doubts? I don't think so. If you are clear, let's move to some of the very basic things you should be understanding about constitution. It is nothing but, first one, from where the idea of constitution was taken from where we got the idea of constitution. It was none other than United States of America. We got the idea of constitution. So once it comes to USA, United States of America, they should be having a constitution. So the father of American Constitution, that is an important question. Who is known as father of American Constitution? Who is known as the father of American Constitution? That is none other than James Madison. James Madison is called as father of American Constitution. And how many parts does American Constitution had? American Constitution had almost, not Britain, idea was taken from USA. American Constitution has 7 articles and it was amended almost 27 times. 7 articles, 27 times. And you know what is the first 10 amendments called? First 10 amendments called, what is that? First 10 amendments are called Bill of Rights. Very, very important. First 10 amendments of Indian Constitution is called as Bill of Rights. So if you are thorough with where we got the thing USA, or the term constitution, it is none other than USA. Who is known as father of American Constitution? It is James Madison. And the first 10 amendments of the Indian Constitution, American Constitution, is called as Bill of Rights. And most importantly, if I ask you how the constitutions are divided, what will be your answer? Your answer will be, sir, the constitutions are divided into basically 4 types. First one, a written constitution. Second one, unwritten constitution. Third one, a rigid constitution. Fourth one, flexible constitution. Written, unwritten, rigid, flexible. So these are the 4 types of constitution that we should be discussing about. So if I ask you, what do you mean by written constitution? What is the other name of written constitution? It is nothing but enacted constitution. Very good. It is called as enacted constitution. As the name indicates, what is written or enacted constitution? Written or enacted constitution is the one which most of the basic principles are written down in a document. Right. Written down in a document. And most importantly, some of the very basic example is none other than our own constitution, that is called as Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution is an example of written or enacted constitution. So let me just ask you a very simple question. Which is the shortest as well as the oldest written constitution? Which is the shortest as well as the oldest written constitution? It is none other than American Constitution. American Constitution is what we call the written as well as shortest written and oldest written constitution. Shortest written, oldest written constitution. American Constitution. So if you are thorough with the written or enacted constitution, let me just ask you some of the important things regarding unwritten constitution. What do you mean by unwritten constitution? Very good Chitransh. What do you mean by unwritten constitution? Unwritten constitution is the one in which the major part of the constitution is not in the written form. The major part of the constitution is not in the written form. Major part is not in the written form. And what is it then? It is a collection of the customs, conventions, traditions, as well as a little bit of written laws and a very good result of historic evolutions. It doesn't only contains about the laws, it contains the conventions, the traditions, the historic values, and as well as a little bit of written laws. So if somebody asks you what is an important example of unwritten constitution, what will be your example? An important example of unwritten constitution, what would be your example? Yes, it is none other than British Constitution as well as Israel Constitution. British Constitution and Israel Constitution. Very important. It is British Constitution as well as Israel Constitution. Any doubts so far? British Constitution as well as Israel Constitution. And if you are clear with that, let me just ask you another set of things that is called as rigid constitution. What do you mean by rigid constitution, guys? Rigid, which can be amended only by a special procedure. Special procedure is needed for amending this constitution. Special procedure is needed for amending this constitution. And very important example, that is none other than USA, United States of America Constitution, Canada Constitution, Switzerland, as well as Australia. So these are the four important constitutions which is called as rigid constitutions. Why? Because it just needs a special procedure to amend, to make changes on that. Now, what is the next one? If you are clear with the rigid, it is none other than flexible constitution. Flexible constitution. Since we have already discussed about rigid constitution, this one you can definitely see. What is that? It is none other than flexible constitution. A constitution can be amended easily. It can be amended easily by a simple majority. Only a simple majority is needed. And from where it needs the simple majority? It needs a simple majority from members of parliament. Members of parliament. Right. So this is all about the different types of constitution: rigid, flexible, written, unwritten. So there are certain questions you should be studying about Indian Constitution. Very important questions. First one, everyone know what is the largest democracy in India? Largest democracy in the world. It is none other than India. And which is having the longest written constitution in the world? That is also none other than India. Third one, Indian constitution closely follows the constitution system of which country? United Kingdom. Indian constitution closely follows the constitution of system of UK, right? So what does constitution declares India to be? India to be a union of states. Union of states. India is a union of states. And most importantly, an Indian constitution is also said as quasi-federal constitution. Indian constitution is said as quasi-federal. But even it is said as quasi-federal or described as quasi-federal, the word federal is nowhere used. Nowhere used in the constitution. So this is the basic details about the constitution, right? Union of states. Very good. So let me just ask you some more questions. Very important question that I wanted to ask you. Which parliament is called as mother of parliament? Mother of parliament. It is none other than Britain parliament. Britain parliament is called as mother of parliament. So I have already asked you which is having the largest written constitution. It is none other than India. Largest democracy is India. But what about the smallest written constitution? Have we discussed about that? Good evening, good evening. Arvind Sharma. Smallest written constitution. Yes, we had discussed it. It is none other than United States of America, USA's constitution. And we have also discussed one more thing, that is the oldest written constitution. Oldest written constitution is also none other than United States of America. Now the next question, which is the first democracy of the world. First democracy of the world. It is none other than, once again, not USA, it is Greece. It is Greece. First democracy in the world is USA is Greece. So it's not USA, it is Greece. So Greece is having one more definition which is called as cradle of democracy. Cradle of democracy. Cradle of democracy, Greece. First democracy, Greece. Next important thing, what is called as Bible of modern democracy? Bible of modern democracy. It is none other than Rousseau's social contract. Social contract of Rousseau is called as Bible of modern democracy. Clear? Any doubts? Any doubts so far, guys? Now, let me just ask you some more things. How the Indian Constitution was developed? How the Indian Constitution was developed? Or which is the first act which paved the way for Indian Constitution? First one, it is nothing but Regulating Act of 1773. Regulating Act of 1773. So what is Regulating Act of 1773? It is the act passed by the British government. It is the act passed by the British government to control political affairs of East India Company. To control the political affairs of East India Company. And by this regulating act, who is appointed as the first Governor General of Bengal? Thereby Bengal got the first Governor General, That is none other than Warren Hastings. That is none other than Warren Hastings. And next important thing, Kolkata. Kolkata got a Supreme Court too. A Supreme Court was also taken up for Kolkata. And obviously, if it is Kolkata Supreme Court, it should be having a Chief Justice. The name of first Chief Justice of Kolkata Supreme Court. Chief Justice of Kolkata Supreme Court. It is none other than Sir Elijah Impey. Sir Elijah Impey is the first Chief Justice of Kolkata Supreme Court. Now, after regulating Act, let's move to the next important one, that is called as Pitt's India Act. Pitt's India Act of 1784, guys. Pitt's India Act of 1784. And this East India Company Act, basically EICA, East India Company Act of 1784 is called as Pitt's India Act. And there obviously regulating act contains so many what drawbacks. So in order to rectify the drawbacks, a new law called Pitt's India Act was passed, and this act separated what is the commercial function and what is the political agenda of East India Company. Agenda of East India Company. So this was the second act which made for Indian Constitution from the British government side. So if you are clear with that, let's move to the third important point, that is called as Charter Act. Charter Act of 1793. Charter Act of 1793. And what is Charter Act of 1793? Up to that point, the company's trade was almost coming to an end. And what happened is that Charter Act made a trademark that company's trade has extended to next another 20 years. Company's trade was extended to another 20 years. Another 20 years. And first one, it is called as Charter Act of 1813. And the monopoly of the company trade was abolished. Monopoly of the company trade was almost abolished by the Charter Act of 1813. Now comes the next important thing, that is called as Charter Act of 1833. Charter Act. 1833 Charter Act. What is this 1833 Charter Act? This act, Charter Act of 1833, made the Governor General of Bengal as Governor General of India. Governor General of Bengal become Governor General of India. And this act has completely ended the activities of East India Company as a commercial body. As a commercial body. And most importantly, we know that Governor General of Bengal become Governor General of India. So who was that? It's a very important question. That is none other than William Pentick. William Pentick was called as the first Governor General of, yes, Dharmendra Das. C. What is C? It is first Governor General William Pentick. Right. So if you are clear with that, let's move to the next important Charter Act, shall we? Charter Act of 1853. Charter Act of 1853. And it is the last Charter Act passed by British Parliament. Last Charter Act. So if it's a bit, it is a somewhat simple to study Charter Acts. First one 1813 plus 20 33 plus 20 it is 53. 3 chart tracts. Last chart tract passed by the British Parliament, it is called as Chart Tract of 1853. And what did it introduce? It introduced an open competition for recruitment of civil servants. And this is by this civil servant recruitment who was the first Indian to get into civil service. First India's അഭിച്ചില്ല ഇന്ന് മലയാളമല്ല, ഇന്ന് വേണമെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞുതരാം, പക്ഷേ ഇന്ന് ഇംഗ്ലീഷിലാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാൻ ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ പോസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തത്. ഓക്കെ. So open competition for the recruitment of civil servants, and most importantly it introduced a local representation in the Central Legislative Assembly, and this is by Charter Act of 1853 we got a local representation. And after that 1853 it was 1857. What happened in 1857? It is none other than revolt of 1857 took place. Revolt of 1857 took place. And what was this revolt of 1857? How come it affected, it influenced the constitution? Yes, it influenced the constitution. As an after effect of revolt of 1857, what happened? In 1858, a new act which is called as Queen's Proclamation. Queen's Proclamation was taken up. And what is other name of Queen's Proclamation? It is none other than Government of India Act 1858. Government of India Act 1858. Clear? Anybody having doubts so far? Yes. So what was the after effect of Government of India Act 1858? So we can say that up to that period it was none other than East India Company was on the front, who controlled India, and British was on the back. British was the silent partners. And what happened? As per Queen's Proclamation, India came into direct control of British East India Company. India came into direct control of British East India Company. And most importantly, it is called as Magna Carta of Indian people. It is called as Magna Carta of Indian people. Right, guys? Indian people. So based on this Queen's Proclamation, we got the first Viceroy of India. Who was the first Viceroy of India? It is none other than Lord Canning. Lord Canning was the first Viceroy of India. And which act is called as the Act for Better Government of India? Queen's Proclamation is called as Act for Better Government of India. And by this act, what happened? We got the first Secretary of State for India, that is none other than Edward Henry Stanley. E.H. Stanley. He was the first Secretary of State of India. Now, if it is first Secretary, you should also be studying about the last Secretary of India. Last Secretary of India. Who was the last Secretary of India? It was none other than William Francis Hare. William Francis Hare was called as the last Secretary of India. First Secretary of State of India, it was none other than Edward Henry Stanley. Last Secretary of India was none other than William Francis Hare. So since you studied about the first secretary, last secretary, let me just give you one more information, that is the longest serving secretary of India. Longest serving secretary of India. It is none other than George Hamilton. George Hamilton. So first secretary, Edward Henry Stanley. Last secretary, William Francis Harry. Longest serving secretary of India, George Hamilton. Clear? Let's move to the next important thing, that is none other than Indian Council Act of 1861. Indian Council Act of 1861. And this act introduced the representative institutions in India. Once again, this act introduced a representative institution in India. And this act introduced one more thing called as portfolio system. This one also introduced a portfolio system in India. And after that, it was time for 1862, that is Indian Council Act of 1892, not 62, 92. And it increased the functions of legislative councils. It increased the functions of legislative council. So it was Indian Council Act of 1892. Now comes the most important part, that is called as Indian Council Act of 1909. Indian Council Act of 1909. You guys know what is Indian Council Act of 1909? Sir, it is none other than Minto-Morley Reforms Act. It is called as Minto-Morley Reforms Act. And this Minto-Morley Reforms Act introduced a communal representation, that is separate electorate for the different caste peoples. Just like Hindus and Muslims, the Muslims got their separate electorate, that is called as communal representation. And most importantly, and it introduced a separate electorate for Muslims. So it's a part of their divide and rule policy. And thereby we got a very good Indian achievement also. S.P. Sinha, that is Satyendra Prasanna Sinha, become the first Indian to become a member of Viceroy's Executive Council. A member of Viceroy's Executive Council on the year 1909. And since Minto-Morley introduced communal representation, obviously Lord Minto was called as father of communal electorate. Father of communal electorate. Clear? Let's move to next important thing, that is called as Government of India Act 1990. So what is this Government of India Act 1919? Anyone? Can you guys hear me? Yes. So this is called as mainly Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act. Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act. After this Government of India Act, we will be discussing some important questions. Okay. And this introduced bicameralism in India. This introduced what? Bicameralism. As well as direct election also it was introduced. And it also introduced diarchy in the system, in the provinces. So these were the important things you should be studying about Government of India Act of 1990. Once again, Montagu Chelmsford Reforms Act is called as Government of India Act 1990, and it introduced bicameralism as well as direct election in the country, and it also introduced diarchy system in the provinces, and most importantly it provided only one thing or good thing that it has done is that it has provided a right to vote for India, for women in India, right to vote for women. So these are the important things that happened because of Government of India Act 1990. So we had some other things also you should be studying. So next one is Simon Commission of 1928. Second one, we have Government of India Act 1935. We have August offer. We have plenty of things to study, and we will be discussing everything one by one. So if you are ready, we can move to some important MCQs. How many of you are ready? Yes. So my first question is over here. Just a moment, guys. Yes. Which of the following was a popular slogan of the French Revolution? Sovereign, democratic, republic, liberty, equality, fraternity, freedom, equality, justice, freedom, equality, accountability. What is your answer, guys? Right, the answer is none other than option number B, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Very good. Option number B, it is liberty, equality, and fraternity. And it is known as one of the popular slogan of what? Popular slogan of French Revolution. Very good. It is none other than French Revolution. And when did French Revolution happen? French Revolution was happened in the year 1789. And these were the ideals of the Constitution of India along with justice. And justice was inspired from none other than Russian Revolution. None other than from Russian Revolution. So once again, liberty, equality, fraternity are the ideals of Indian Constitution. We have taken these ideals from none other than French Revolution, which was happened on the year 1789. And most importantly, one more thing that is called as justice, we have taken it from Russian Revolution. Which of the following is an example of unitary and presidential system of government? USA, Canada, India, France. It's an example of unitary presidential system of governance or government. Right answer is option number D itself, that is France. That is none other than France. And in this France, it's an example of unitary as well as presidential form of government. Whereas Britain, where is Britain? We don't have Britain here. Britain is unitary and parliamentary form of government. Parliamentary form of government. But what about India, USA and Canada? India, USA and Canada is having federation form of government. So very, very important. Unitary as well as presidential system. What is a unitary and presidential system? Only one controlling power, that is none other than the president, that is called as unitary as well as presidential system of governance. And France is having presidential system. Second one, Britain is having unitary as well as parliamentary form. Obviously the parliament will be the ultimate power. Even becoming the ultimate power, parliament is having a higher authority, that is none other than the crown. And lastly, India, US and Canada is having federation system. Next question. Parliament of India has passed the Environmental Conservation Bill. passed the Environmental Conservation Bill? It was on 1972, 1984, 1981, 1986. 10 seconds for you guys to find the answer. Right, the right answer is option number D, 1986. It was option number D. Parliament of India has passed the Environmental Conservation Bill on the date option number D, 1986. And this act was passed when? Because a later period Bhopal gas tragedy happened, and in order to control that kind of issues, India has passed the Environmental Conservation Bill. So right answer is option number D, 1986. Which type of democracy do we follow in India? Direct, presidential, representative, as well as dictatorship. Democracy do we follow in India? Direct, presidential, representative, as well as dictatorship. Right answer option number C, it is representative. In India, we do follow a representative type of democracy. And there are two types of democracies. The first one is called as direct democracy. Second one is called as indirect democracy. Direct democracy, as the name indicates, the people will be directly taking part in the lawmaking procedures. Whereas in indirect, what happens? It is the representatives of the people, just like our members of parliament and members of legislative assemblies, they will be taking part in the lawmaking process. So obviously, what kind of democracy we are following? We are following indirect representative democracy. So right answer is option number C, representative. The concept of constitution was first originated in Switzerland, Britain, USA, as well as Japan. What is the right answer? Right, it is option number B, Britain. It is at Britain the concept of constitution was first originated, and it was none other than an unwritten constitution. But whereas in USA is the first where written constitution is come up. Written constitution was come up. And this one, Britain, I told you unwritten first. So it is one of the oldest one. So without any doubt, we can make it as the mother of parliament, or England parliament is called as mother of parliament. And it has been existed for over centuries, and founding document of its constitution is considered as none other than Magna Carta of the King John 1250. Magna Carta of the King John 1250. So right answer is option number B, Britain, as per the question. Where do we find the ideals of Indian democracy in the constitution? The preamble, part 3, part 4, part 1. Where do we find the ideals of Indian democracy in the constitution? Right answer is option number A, the preamble. It is the preamble in which ideals of Indian democracy can be seen, and it has been borrowed from none other than United States of America. And what are the ideals that we have already discussed on one of the question? It was none other than justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So the next question, what is the method of amending the constitution by a popular veto is found in? The method of amending the constitution by popular veto is found in Britain, Switzerland, Russia, India. Britain, Switzerland, Russia, India. What is the right answer? Popular veto. So it is none other than option number B. It is Switzerland. It is none other than option number B. Switzerland got the amendment process by popular veto. Next question. What is popular veto, guys? It is a direct form of democracy where voters are participating in the legislation through petition. Legislation through petition, right? Voters take part in the process or legislation process through petitions. Right answer is option number B. It is Switzerland. Next question. Universal adult franchise shows that India is a country which is secular, socialist, democratic, sovereign. So universal adult franchise. What is that universal adult franchise? Anybody? What is universal adult franchise? Universal adult franchise is nothing but it means every citizen who is an adult has the right to vote without any discrimination. That is important. Without any discrimination. And which article ensures the people's right to vote? It is Article 326, which ensures the people's right to vote. So right answer is option number C. It is a democratic country. India is a democratic country where the Indians which is having the age of more than 21 or 21 or more than 21 has the right to vote and to select their representatives. So it is option number C, democratic. Let's move to next question. Name the country from which the constitution features of procedures for amendment was borrowed by India. Britain, America, South Africa, Germany. Let me just give you 15 seconds to find out this answer. Right, it is none other than procedure of constitution, amendment of constitution was borrowed from option number C, South Africa. Very good, Rega, very good. Option number C, that is South Africa. Because we have already discussed from where all we brought the different sections. It is none other than the amendment of the constitution, written constitution. From which of the following country Indian constitution borrowed the feature written constitution? Yeah, previous question was amendment, so it was South Africa. So from which of the following country Indian constitution borrowed the feature written constitution? Anybody? USSR, UK, US, Japan. That is also none other than option number C, United States. So written constitution, I told you US constitution is one of the oldest as well as the first written constitution, and thereby India borrowed the constitution of written constitution, that is from none other than option number C. It is United States of America. United States of America. From United States of America we got the process called as written constitution. Very good. So what is the next question? Let me see about the next question, guys. Just a minute. Which of the following exercise the most profound influence in framing of Indian constitution? British, US, Irish, Government of India Act 1935. Which is the most important section which framed the Indian Constitution? Or the other type of question which is known as the blueprint of Indian Constitution? Both of its answer is the only one thing, that is called as option number D, Government of India Act 1935. It is Government of India Act 1935. Yes, Government of India Act 1935. Most of the provisions of the Constitution, majority of the provisions of the Constitution, very good Kian, majority of the provisions of the Constitution was taken from none other than Government of India Act 1935. What are the things that is taken from Government of India Act? Anybody? What are the things that is taken from Government of India Act 1935? First one, judiciary. First one, it is judiciary. Second one, emergency power. Emergency power. Third one, any other third one? Judiciary, emergency, anything else? Find out. What is the next one? Third one, judiciary, emergency, plus PASA, banking. No. Find out. After judiciary, emergency, PSC. Fine, PSC. Very good. Option number C. Sorry. These are the some of the important things that is taken from Government of India Act 1935. Let's move to next question. The phrase equality before law used in Article 14 of the Indian Constitution has been borrowed from USA, Germany, Britain, Greece. What is your answer? From where we got this thing called equality before law? From where we got this thing equality before law? Yes, it is option number C. Very good. Britain. Option number C, it is Britain. Very good. And most importantly, I don't wanted to say anything on this one because we have already discussed in so many of the classes. Britain, it was two things equality Article 14 is dealing with. What are they? Equality before law and equal protection of law. Equal protection of law. Both of these things are not taken from Britain itself. Equal protection of law is taken from, sorry, equality before law is taken from none other than Britain, whereas equal protection of law is taken from United States of America. United States of America, it is what we have taken from. Clear? Let's move to the next question. Westminster parliamentary system was developed in Spain, Australia, UK, USA. What is your answer? Westminster parliamentary system. Westminster parliamentary system, once again the right answer, it is option number C, United Kingdom. United Kingdom got this thing called Westminster parliamentary, right? So next one, which of the following act suggested the post of Controller and Auditor General? Act of 1909, Act of 1919, Act of 1935, Act of 1947. No, Germany is called as Weimar Constitution, not Westminster. Okay, Rega, Germany and the Weimar Constitution ana Westminster alla. Act of 1909, Act of 1919, Act of 1935, Act of 1947. Right answer, it is option number B, Act of 1919. Government of India Act 1919. So, Controller and Auditor General, that is CAG, was the outcome of none other than Government of India Act 1919. So what is this Controller and Auditor General process? It is the system of government accounting. System of government accounting as well as auditing. And for this post, we got this particular guy called a Controller and Auditor General. So right answer is option number B, Government of India Act. Were there any other name for Government of India Act 1919? Were there any other name for Government of India Act 1919? Yes, it is called as Government of India. Yeah, fine. Controller and Auditor General, 148 article, fine. But my question is Government of India Act 1919. Any other important name? We have already discussed so many times. It is called as Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act. Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act or Minto-Morley Reforms Act. What is the name? Montagu or Minto? Tell me. It is Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act. Who among the following proposed the suggestion for a constituent assembly first in the year 1935? Nehru, Gandhi, J.P. Narayan, M.N. Roy. Right answer, it is none other than option number D, M.N. Roy. M.N. Roy was considered as the guy who has proposed the suggestion for a constituent assembly that was for the first time in the year 1935. In the year 1935. And most importantly, and this demand, what happened to this demand? This demand was first accepted by the Britishers in the year 1940 through what? August offer. It is called as August offer. Right. Option number D, it is M.N. Roy, August offer 1940. Constituent Assembly was set up in 1945, 46, 47, 49. Constituent Assembly was set up in the year 1945, 1946, 1947, 1949. Right answer, it is option number B, 1946. It is option number B, 1946. Clear? 1946 Constituent Assembly was first set up. Yes. And how many years did it took? It took around 2 years, 11 months, 18 days to frame the constitution. And initially it was considered of total of 389 members. And out of these 296 were elected by the provincial assemblies. And 93 were nominated by the princely states. And after partition of India, number of total members reduced to 299. Out of this 229 were from the provincial assemblies, and the remaining, that is 70, were from the princely states. Next one, the Constituent Assembly of India was constituted on the scheme of Wavell Plan, Cripps Mission, August offer, Cabinet Mission. What is your right answer? Constituent Assembly of India was constituted on the scheme of Wavell Plan, Cripps Mission, August offer, as well as Cabinet Mission. Right answer, it is option number D, Cabinet Mission. It is option number D, Cabinet Mission. Right. Clear? Yes. Now, most importantly, and who approved the demand for Constituent Assembly? demand for Constituent Assembly was accepted, as I told you. It was in 1940 by August of. Even though it was accepted in 1940, it came into effect as a cabinet mission plan in the year 1946. So right answer is option number D. Next question. Who presided over the first meeting of Indian Constituent Assembly? Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Sachidananda Sinha, B.R. Ambedkar, S.V. Kamath. First meeting of the Indian Constituent Assembly. Come on, this is a very important question. Rishabh Raj is saying B. That is Sachidananda Sinha. So who is Sachidananda Sinha, Rishabh Raj? Who is Sachidananda Sinha? Anybody? Right? Sachidananda Sinha was the oldest member of Constituent Assembly. Oldest member of Constituent Assembly, right? And most importantly, he was the temporary or interim chairman. And what happened? Later on, Rajendra Prasad was elected as the permanent chairman, right? Next question. Who was the chairman of the Constituent Assembly of India? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Rajendra Prasad, B.N. Rao, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. It is option number B. It is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. I've already told you, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the chairman or president of Constituent Assembly of India on which date? It was on 11th December 1946. And what happened to him after that? He became the first president of India. So if he has become the first president of India, then as well as the first president of chairman of the Constituent Assembly, who was elected as the vice president of the assembly? It was none other than H.C. Mukherjee, right? It is H.C. Mukherjee. Let's move to the next question. Constituent Assembly which was enacted, the Constitution of India, its members were nominated by the political parties, elected by the legislative assemblies of direct provinces, directly elected by the people, nominated by the Governor General. What is the answer? Right answer. Surendra Dindawal is saying C. Once again, Surendra Dindawal. Once again, go with your options once again. I am not asking about the parliament. It is the Constituent Assembly. Just looking for something else, right? Yes, it is option number B, not Rishabh Raj and Surendra Dandawal. It is not option number C. It is option number B. Constituent Assembly, there were almost how many members on the first time? First Constituent Assembly meeting. We have discussed it a couple of minutes back. We got around 296 members. And this 296 members from where? It was from the provincial assemblies as well as princely states. So these guys, that is 296 members, are not elected by the people. They are elected by the legislative assemblies of the provinces. It is asking about Constituent Assembly, not about the parliament. Okay, so right answer is option number B, elected by the legislative assemblies of the different provinces which is represented. Let's move to the next question. Princely states. Who was the constitutional advisor to the Constituent Assembly at the time of drafting of the Constitution? Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, B.N. Rao, Rajendra Prasad. It's a very simple but a most important kind of question, guys. It's even though it is simple, it is considered some of the most important section. Make it fast, make it fast. Right, it is B. N. Rao. Constitutional advisor to the Constituent Assembly. It is none other than B. N. Rao. He was also appointed as the legal advisor of Constituent Assembly. Along with that, he was also assisted in the drafting of what? Drafting of the Constitution of Burma, that is present Myanmar. So right answer is option number C, B. N. Rao. Let's move to next question. Yes, who is considered as the maker of the Constitution of India? Mahatma Gandhi, B. R. Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru, and B. N. Rao. Let this be the last question for today's class. Your answer. Maker of the Indian Constitution, none other than option number B, B. R. Ambedkar. Right, guys? It is option number B, B. R. Ambedkar. Right? So this is all about right now. We have just introduced Indian polity here, and if you support, we will be giving up more and more answers on this part, or more and more classes on this part, Indian polity, or most probably I will be conducting classes on the daily basis, which is useful for our RRB, NTPC as well as SSC CGL preparation on YouTube channels. And most importantly, try to join my Telegram group, Ultimate Classroom. You will be getting more amount of details over there. And most importantly, if you wish to join Unacademy Plus, try to use the referral code Unnikrishnan54. And if you are looking for any kind of hours, more than 10%, any kind of hours, just message me, we can work it out. So right answer, as per the question, is B. R. Ambedkar. And most importantly, we are ending up the class right now. Any questions right now? Anyone? Anyone having questions? No, so let's crack it down right now. Once again, we'll be having this 9:30 class today at Unacademy Plus. We'll be discussing some of the important questions regarding modern India. So thank you guys and have a great day ahead. Once again, if you like the class, please try like it and obviously share it with your friends. Thank you guys and have a great day ahead. Thank you.